Oh, hey, sorry I didn't see you guys there. I was too busy reading about all these state championships from teams that aren't from this area. Never from this area. Unless it's Refugio. Like, what the fuck happened? I posted my comments the other day about how we need to start scheduling tougher teams for non-district. And I didn't get any, like, blowback on Facebook. But on Twitter, I had people coming after me that... is genetics, genetic advantages, this and that. Shut the fuck up. Explain to me what genetic advantages tiny ass Drew Brees was born with. Future Hall of Famer Drew Brees. What genetic advantages was he born with? Tom Brady with his dad bod. What genetic advantages was he born with? You know, a lot of people say Barry Sanders is the greatest running back of all time. He's 5'8". What genetic advantage was he born with? It's so much bullshit when I hear people saying, you know, that if you're born north of fucking north of San Antonio, you're born with genetic advantages. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. I mean, like I said in my other video, you can't do anything about your height, but you can do everything in the world about your speed, your talent, your strength. You can do everything about it, man. I mean, there's a bunch of horse shit to say. If you aren't from around here, you weren't born, you just don't have genetic advantages. You know, get the fuck out of here, man. And just Drew Brees says, go fuck yourself. It's cherry picking, but it doesn't matter. It's still legit examples, you know. It's just you don't have to be from a certain part of the state to be able to be badass at what you do. I was watching the Liberty Hill South Oak Cliff game on state championship game 5AD2, and it's like. I didn't see any genetic advantages on that Liberty Hill team. On a lot of teams you see, it's just some teams just work harder than others, and it's what it is, man. I mean, people from down here need to get their head out of their ass, start scheduling tougher teams for non-district, and give a shit more about your off season. You know, it can't just be about game day and wearing 10 different wristbands and caring what you look like on game day. You got to give a fuck in the off season. Care what you look like on off season, not on game day, when you have 10 different wristbands and I don't get it, man. I mean, there's no goddamn reason that people from down here can't be playing for state championships, winning state championships. It's just the whole genetic advantage thing of teams from San Antonio, north of San Antonio, is a bunch of horse shit. And like I said, people like I said, it's cherry picking, but still, people like Drew Brees, they're tiny as fuck. And, you know, explain to me what genetic advantage that fucking guy has. Jack shit. He just worked his ass off to be what he is. You know, Barry Sanders is 5'8". Emmitt Smith was 5'9". It's just a bunch of horse shit about genetic advantages, man. It just, you don't want to work, don't just say I don't want to work. You know. That's what our South Texas kids need to just say. It's just, you're not working the way other teams are working, because it's just, you're not, it is what it is, man. There's no genetic advantage to being born somewhere else in the state. You look at the Calhoun kids, like I gave them the example in my other video, man. What genetic advantages were those kids born with? I don't see any future NFL players on that team. I don't even see any future D1 college players on that team, and they still fucking managed to make it to round 5 or state every year, every other year. It just, y'all need to step up, man. I mean, it is what it is. It's just not. It's not about just the coaches or the players. It's the community. The way the community raises the kids. You know, it's just, don't raise your kids to think they're gonna win shit just because they said a prayer or it's our year. It doesn't work that way, man. Work your fucking ass off, or you're gonna continue to get your ass whooped by teams from north of San Antonio, because they work harder than we do. That's just facts. Yeah, it would be nice to have a team with a bunch of kids that are 6'4", 6'5", 6. I mean, we don't have that, but you don't need that. You don't need that, especially not at what we have here. We don't even have 6A teams down here, so we don't have to worry about 6A level teams. We don't have to worry about running into teams like DeSoto or Duncanville or Westlake or South Lake Carroll, or we don't need to worry about that. So I don't want to hear no shit about this. We don't have genetic advantages as other teams. Bullshit, man. It's just some teams work harder than others, and in our communities down here in South Texas and the coaches, they just need to be honest with the kids, man. You aren't working hard enough. Stop with the politically correct bullshit and just tell them you aren't working hard enough. You aren't. It's just plain and simple. I mean, those kids in the 5A, 4A state championship games, they're the same fucking age as you are. They're 15, 16, 17-year-olds just like you are. But they work harder than you, plain and simple. And so they're going to continue to play on the big stage while you guys sit at home after the first, second, third round of the playoffs every fucking year because you just don't work as hard as they do, plain and simple. And until coaches around here start telling the kids and making them understand that, it's just nothing's going to change, man. Between that and scheduling Tomato Can High for all your non-district schedule games, it just you're never going to take the next step. It's plain and simple. You're not going to take the next fucking step, man. And if you're okay with that, then fuck it. I mean, I had my time. I wish someone would have sat me down and said the things I'm saying right now to my fucking face. Maybe it would have made a difference, man, because I wish someone would have got in my face and said all this shit because it's facts. You don't gotta like it, but it's facts, man. I mean, I don't know, man. So my message to all local fucking players, coaches, community, especially the community, man. The way you raise... You guys don't think the things that come out of your mouth matters, or the way you raise your kids, or to believe this and that. It matters, man. I mean, it's not good enough. And you need to tell your kids, look them in the face and say, it's not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough the way you are right now. You need to get better. You're not gonna beat X team or Y team being what you are as it is. Stop letting them be satisfied. Stop giving them a false sense of being better than they are because they beat Tomato Can High week 1. It doesn't work that way, man. I mean, if you're okay with it, that's little Johnny. It's just, stop it. Man, fuck that. You're in the wrong sport if you're okay with just, being from Alice, I can speak directly to the Alice fans and say, stop raising your kids that think they're going to win just because they're Coyotes. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I mean, my senior year... Man, I'll use my own senior year as an example, man. You grow up thinking that way, and it's not reality. You think you're going to win just because. It's my year. I'm a senior, and, I wanted to be a cop my whole... It doesn't work that way, man. You got to put in the work that teams from up north are putting in. And you don't need $1 million facilities. You don't need $1 million trainers. You can go work your ass out in a fucking field that costs $0. Go to the Monte and run your ass off. You don't need a badass facility. This horse shit that up north they have facilities that we don't have. Man, that's bullshit. You can run wherever the fuck you want to run. You can lift weights wherever the fuck you want to lift weights. How much it costs to work out there, man, none of that matters, dude. That's a bunch of horse shit. Stop making excuses and take this next step to the next. You're just in unless you're satisfied with first, second, third round exits all the time, man, and getting your ass beat by teams from up north. I feel like down here the fans care more than the players do or something. You go up north and the players care a little more. Down here it's about the fans like me, the crazy fans like me that are saying things like this because we want to be better than we are and we're not. The players have to feel the way we feel. Up north the players feel the same way the fans feel. That's why it's just different. The fucking players up there are raised and trained to think they can get to the next level. Is that not happening down here? I don't know, man. But, I have the teams down here that they have offenses that can play with anyone, or defenses that can play with anybody, but we don't have the perfect combination of offense and defense that can play with anybody, Calhoun has that defense that can play with anybody, but their offense hasn't discovered the forward pass yet. I don't give a fuck who I offend. You haven't discovered the forward pass yet. You refuse to use a forward pass. That's what kept you from winning a state championship all these years. Plain and simple. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry who I offend. It's just, all these great defenses all these years, great offensive lines all these years, and you competed and you almost won a state championship in 2016. But maybe if you would have discovered the forward pass, you would have won that state championship by now. But you get stuck in your ways, and you don't want to. I'm not picking on Calhoun. Miller. Everyone thinks I'm a Miller homer. You know what, Miller? I saw a comment a few weeks, maybe like 2 months ago, from a Miller fan. There's a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention names, and it was basically insinuating you need to get rid of your defensive coordinator if you're ever going to take the next step. Bullshit. That defensive coordinator, when he was at Alice, as the defensive coordinator that 1 year, the defense only gave away 17 points a game with Eric John as the defensive coordinator. And this was a team that was mostly juniors and sophomores, because the next year is when they were a mostly senior team. In 2016, they were a mostly junior sophomore team, learning a new system, mind you, with a new coach, a new defense, everything. And Coach John only gave up 17 points a game. Why? Because the kids at Alice, say what you will about them, even when they have bad years, good, it doesn't matter. They're dogs. They're dogs on offense and defense. The kids don't just give a shit about one side of the ball. They play their ass off on both sides of the ball. What's going on at Miller with their defense and the giving up a lot of points, that's not on Coach John, man. That's not on Coach Evans. That's just, your kids aren't dogs on defense. Plain and simple. Someone needs to tell you. Your kids don't give a fuck on defense the same way they give on offense. Plain and simple. You got kids playing both ways on offense and defense, and yeah, they're great athletes, but they're athletes that give a fuck about their stats on the offensive side of the ball, but not about making a tackle on the defensive side of the ball. It's just plain and simple, man. I mean, like I said, Coach John only gave up 17 points a game when he was at Alice. So I don't hear no shit about Miller's not going to take the next step until they get rid of their defensive coordinator. That defensive coordinator was a badass when he was in Alice that 1 year. 17 points a game is all they gave up that year. So that's not on John or Evans, man. That's just, your kids need to step it up. Your kids need to give a fuck on defense the same way they give a fuck on offense. Plain and simple. I use Calallen and Miller as examples because Calhoun, like I said, is that team that their defense can compete with anyone in the state. Miller is their offense can compete with anyone in the state, but it's just, you got to get it on both sides of the ball, man. It's not good enough to just carry on one side of the ball. Calhoun, man, it's just a new era now. Maybe you'll discover the forward pass now. I don't know, but teams like Port Lavaca, it's nice that you're able to fool a lot of people with a triple option. And it's just hard to figure out for some teams, but eventually you get in the third, fourth round of the playoffs, and there's teams that can figure it out. And guess what? You're fucked because you don't know what the forward pass is either. Learn what the forward pass is, man. That's just, you don't have to run the spread to throw the ball. I'm saying that to teams like Calhoun and Calallen. Nobody's saying you got to run the spread. Fuck the spread. I don't even like the spread, to be honest, man. I think teams should run multiple. This ain't about my bias for Alice, but when Watley was in Alice, it was, you never knew what the fuck they were going to run. Every game, not just every game from game to game, from series to series, from play to play. Alice would be in wishbone one play and spread in the next play. I set in the I formation of one series, pro set the next series. And then back to spread, wishbone. They ran out of everything. I think to me, that's what teams should run. Coming out the same, man, I don't like the spread anymore. I wish we would get away from that already. But if you're running like the wishbone or the slot T or the wing T, and I'm telling you, you need to discover the forward pass. Is nobody saying you got to run the spread, man? You can fucking pass the ball out of a wing T or this. When Sosa was in Alice, he ran the slot T, but they still pass the ball 15, 20 times a game. You can pass the ball out of those run offenses. So Calhoun and Calallen, you're never going to take that next. You're never going to get to the next step unless you fucking learn what the forward pass is. Miller, you need to learn how to play on defense. Alice, I don't know what to say about Alice, man. That's my alma mater, but it's not the same. It's not. I went to a couple of games the last couple of years, the home games. Home games, they're in Alice. And I understand part of it is COVID, but that's not an excuse because even before COVID started, the stands were half empty every fucking Friday night. I don't get it, man. The support just isn't what it used to be. Unless they play in San Antonio. For some reason, when they play in San Antonio, a playoff game, it gets packed. A lot of ex-Alicians have moved to San Antonio, I guess. I don't know, but The support needs to be there, man. For my advice to Alice would be to do something with that student section. Make it attractive to the students to want to go there and fill that end zone up. You know, do something with it. Put some fucking sign on the end zone that's designates it the student section. You know, name it something. Make it attractive to students to want to go. So you have student sections like Calallen has a really good student section, man. That's the kind of student section I'm talking about. The kids that fill up the entire section and they get crazy and they show up without shirts and painted faces and painted bodies, and y'all, that's what y'all are lacking in Alice. With all that great fan support you've always had, you've never had a great student section. That student section is always a bunch of little Raza kids running around and acting a fool. Y'all got to do something about that, man. But I don't want this video to go on too long. This video is just a quick rant on how we need to step our game up here in South Texas, man, because it's just, yeah, this is mostly, this video is supposed to be mostly about the whole genetic advantages bullshit argument I got with someone on my Twitter page. But like I said, man, you just look me in the eyes and tell me what genetic advantage Drew Brees was born with. He's fucking 5'10", 160 pounds, and he's a future Hall of Famer, man. So it's a bunch of horse shit with a genetic advantage bullshit, man. You got to work your ass off. Some people work their asses off, some don't. And here in the 361, you guys need to start working your ass off, or you're going to continue to be the North bitch, the East bitch, the West bitch. It's what it is, man. At some point, you got to get tired of being the rest of the state's bitch. Do something about it, because your community deserve better. Your fan sport deserves better. It's just, anyway, I'm going to continue to make videos like this, man. Hopefully it gets out there. Hopefully people share it. Hopefully your kids see it. I don't give a fuck. Let your kids see it. They need to see it. You know, if you're not going to tell them in their face what they need to hear, then share this video with them. Because someone needs to tell them, you know, you're not working hard enough. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not fast enough. You don't give a fuck enough. As the teams from up north of San Antonio, and you're going to continue to be the rest of the state's bitches until you do something about it. Plain and simple. Anyway, thank you guys for following this page.